Like, so I'm like, I'm probably, even despite COVID, fading into the background, probably going to maintain some level of social distancing from people, just because not for health reasons, but for, emotional reasons.
All right, what's up, everybody?
I'm Chrissy.
I'm Austin.
And this is
Dude, You're a Plate on Too Good Music. We're so excited to have Gracie and Clyde here of the band Lawrence.
Woo!
Lots to talk about, including the latest single, Don't Lose Sight. We got the album Hotel TV, and lots of other stuff to talk about. So now you guys are obviously siblings, but do you remember when music kind of started for you?
I don't even remember a moment when we weren't playing music together. So I think it was just a really natural sequence of events. We just played music as kids. There's video of us playing music together when I'm like literally 1 and Clyde's 4 or 5. I think we felt like, as a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, like, this is what we do, right? Like, this is what we're gonna do. There was never a conscious, like, let's try music. It was just embedded into the fabric of our family. And then as we got older, we just were like, let's keep doing this. And it was never a switch from like hobby to career. And our parents played so much music for us.
What was it? What were the music that they were playing growing up?
A lot of stuff from like the 60s and 70s, which I think remains like a pretty core, like the main sort of influence, I would say, on a lot of our music.
I was really obsessed with Britney Spears. Every other kid my age, I had like a Britney Spears themed birthday party. I had a cake that was like Britney Spears going like this, and I on the other hand like she's like a very like sexy whatever, and then I on the other hand was like just like in a sweater like. And my parents did a really cool thing, which was like they noticed that like what I was really interested in was women being like at the forefront of a musical thing. And a lot of the classic rock that I was exposed to previous to that was very male driven. And I remember my dad buying me the Best of the Go-Go's, an Aretha Franklin album, Joss Stone, Sheryl Crow. That was, I think, a big eye-opener for me.
That's also why I love you guys' sound too, because I can hear all of the different instrumentation and influences, and it works so well. And I love the Britney Spears story. I totally also love Britney Spears, and I learned all of her dances. I couldn't play instruments that young, so I could only do the dance. I'm right there with you. Working with siblings or family has its pros and cons, and I work with my brother all the time. So how do you guys balance that dynamic?
I think that we mostly like don't have that like natural tendency to bicker or be competitive with one another. Like that seems to be a common thing we hear from people. But yeah, I think like creatively we're like 95% aligned and have like so many of the same references. I'm sure if you work with your brother, like there will be things that like I could reference to Gracie that I could hardly reference to anyone else. Like, what if we made it like that, like random children's show we watch when we were 5?
Totally. Oh my God. I just was going to say that. It's so specific.
Yeah, and it's like things that like other people will be like, what? It allows for those kinds of things.
For sure. I love that.
So in tune with everything that it just makes sense. Looking at like your social media and stuff, it also seems like you guys take the music seriously, but you don't take yourself too seriously. Do you think that kind of plays a factor into why you work a little easier together?
Yeah, I mean, we've always said that exact thing, which is like, we don't want the music to come off as a joke, but anyone can laugh at us or laugh with us.
And there is plenty of comedy in our music.
Especially like your song Freckles in the video.
Exactly. I hope that people listen to Freckles and are like, this is a good song.
Yeah.
But
that's what I said.
At the genuine comedy that's like in the lyrics and stuff. I think that's a great example.
We've just always been into storytelling and comedy, and those things don't need to be mutually exclusive on any level.
And that's obviously kind of resonated with, someone as impressive as Jon Bellion, because you guys were the first band signed to his Beautiful Minds Records label. What was that like? And like, what have you learned? Like, how does that even come about?
We were playing this college like spring weekend event. We were right before him. He was headlining the event, and his band came to watch our show, like totally packed. The crowd was amazing. We had a good show, and his band seemed really into it. And I guess they went back to him and said, like, you should check out this band that just played before us. We kind of somehow exchanged info with John for the next 2 years. We're just kind of casually texting. Like 2 years later, we had just come out with our album Living Room, and he was like, come over to the studio. I think he kind of revealed then that he hadn't really listened to like anything we had sent him up until that point. And then he was like, oh, like yesterday, I just listened to all the things you sent me and they're great and I'd love to work with you. It was just a crazy circumstance of he genuinely really loved what he heard. He saw the potential for like what he could add and not in a like overbearing way. I think he saw what he always calls like the 5 or 10% that he could just kind of come in and help shape. Yeah, it's been a really amazing experience.
Has there been anything that like has really stood out about, working with him that, maybe a piece of advice or something that you didn't think about before that maybe he might introduce as a new thought?
Jon is just very much like the kind of person like us that's trying to kind of like build a community with everything. Just even through seeing like how happy he is, like being able to have people that he genuinely enjoys being around. That's always been how we have operated. Seeing him also feel that way, it was really validating to us that like that's a really good thing to strive towards. So many members of his community and him have now become part of our like community, and we become part of his, and it's just a really fun like New York crew that's developing.
You guys are, two of an 8-piece band, and you guys are all friends with those people from high school and college, correct?
Yeah, it's been the same 7 guys and 1 girl for the entirety of the time that we've been touring. It's been really fun to be able to keep that group of like best friends together.
Aw, that's so cool. Gracie, you're also a successful actress too, and you've appeared in
I love the successful
Good
thing.
Wife, The Sitter. Keep going, keep going. How did you get into acting?
My parents were just like, this is a thing, unlike other careers, kids can actually do acting. If it's something you're interested in, you can start auditioning for things. I did, and I started to work from that. And it's all just comes down to like storytelling and understanding perspective and character. And so I've just always loved performing.
Did you also do musical theater?
I did musical theater like in the context of school, and I was in a Broadway show that was a play. Yeah, I hope to do a lot of musical theater. Clyde and I both very much love musical theater, and a goal of ours is to write a musical one day.
Oh my gosh, I'll be right there, front row with a sign and everything. Let's make that happen. Your album and then musical.
We're working on it. That is the exact plan right now.
Clyde, I know in addition to writing songs and scores for like Disney's Noelle and the Spielberg's Animaniacs, you also wrote the theme song for Miss Congeniality at the age of 5. Like, how did that even come about? Like, did you even understand at 5, like, what you just accomplished?
Our dad is a comedy writer. He was the writer of the movie Miss Congeniality. They were looking for a song to be the sort of theme of the pageant. I guess the directors and the producers had cast a net for looking for submissions for the song, and they weren't really happy with anything that they were getting. And my dad, who was the writer, he was sort of like just showing it to me, and he played me a couple theme songs of actual pageants and then played me a couple of the submissions and was like, everyone involved is saying that these aren't quite right. I don't think he asked me, hey, can you try to write something, but maybe we should change our brief about what we're looking for. I distinctly remember that, and I remember like it being very clear to me that like the kinds of chords and the kinds of melodies that they were using just didn't feel exactly right. And I just kind of sat down at the piano and started giving some examples. Then yeah, that turned into me ultimately writing the song for it. I don't think I really necessarily like realized that that was a really big deal. I love both sides of it. I love writing the things that are like, these are the songs from my heart and soul, and I love this is a little fun puzzle to try to put together this like quirky assignment. It makes me more excited to jump back into Lawrence stuff too.
Speaking of the Lawrence music, we got the lead single from the album, Don't Lose Sight. I mean, it's a perfect anthem to, kind of jumpstart, where we are in the world right now and kind of get back to it after the year we had. But what does the song mean to you guys? And have you been sitting on it for a while, or was it more kind of recently inspired?
I forget exactly when we wrote it. Obviously before the pandemic. We were in LA and we were doing some writing sessions, hanging out. As we were talking about before, I do acting stuff. I had been waiting to hear back about this one audition in particular. I was really hopeful. The day before we wrote this song, I had found out that they were going another direction, as they say. And I was like, what direction would that be? Really bummed about it. So we had a writing session that day. I was really trying to shake it. And so the next day we had this other writing session. Clyde and one of the producers on the song, Jorgen Odegaard, were kind of playing around with these like chords. And I kind of just was like, can we write about this thing that I'm going through? Because I feel like I'm not really going to be able to say anything here without it being about that. It just feels like I'm going through something and it'd be cool to like be able to contribute in that way. And everyone was super down and came up with the lyric from the chorus, "This shit's gonna kill me, but I won't let it." And that was kind of like the start of the thing.
It's just becoming a song about that internal struggle between like those moments that we all have.
On my run this morning, I was losing sight and, listened to queued it up. And
Yeah.
When you have like 3 minutes left in your run and you think that you can't go another 3 minutes, it's the perfect song for that.
It's versatile. So Don't Lose Sight is part of your album, Hotel TV. Can you guys tell us anything else about the album, stories, any Bellion productions or?
We kind of self-produced the whole thing with the help of Jon. It was kind of just like a big team effort. There was not really like, it wasn't like, oh, Jon produced this song and then had nothing to do with this. It was kind of like we all were just sort of working together on all of it. All the songs are really meaningful to us in different ways.
So for both of you, and this is a question we ask for every Too Good Music interview, if you could only listen to 5 artists for the rest of your life, who would they be?
I'd probably say the Beatles, Stevie Wonder, Randy Newman, maybe D'Angelo. I have to think of what my 5th one is. I'm deciding between like Aretha Franklin or maybe Carole King or maybe even like Fountains of Wayne, which is like one of my favorite bands. I'm going Fountains of Wayne. I gotta give Fountains of Wayne.
All right.
Mine are gonna overlap a lot. I definitely would say the Beatles. I definitely say Stevie Wonder. I would definitely say Aretha Franklin. I would say Carole King. And then I want to choose like a modern artist. And I'm inclined to say Fountains of Wayne, but just to give a differentiation from Clyde, I would choose like female artist that's like very current. Some albums I love were like Janelle Monáe or like St. Vincent.
No Britney?
I love Britney Spears so much, but I think that you don't need to listen to the Britney Spears records to have the Britney Spears songs in your head. I think that will stay with me forever.
I might have to swap in the Beach Boys on mine, one of my favorite bands ever, but I don't want to have to consider who to take off my list.
I'll give you a bonus one.
Oh, maybe I would say Emily King because those are really good songs.
It's the hardest question. Last one for you guys. What does the rest of 2021 look like for Lawrence? What can we expect besides the album?
Right. I was just gonna be like the album. Well, yes, our album comes out July 23rd. We will be announcing some tour dates, and so we will be able to see everyone and play this music. I can't think of anything else that's gonna change in our lives.
Well, Gracie, Clyde, thank you guys so much. This was Lawrence. The new single is Don't Lose Sight, and we got the album Hotel TV. Thank you guys so much for the time, and thanks for hanging today. This was great.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you later.
Congrats on everything, guys.